And we're off and recording.
Oh boy, we're off and recording now. All right, this is Rex, W1REX, and
Stephen, N1SH.
N1SH, and we are preparing. This is a test run to work on the Learn to Solder Billathon that's going on, the QSO Today Ham Expo Billathon on Saturday, 11 o'clock.
I have no idea what
I
time.
haven't.
It's
I
not
don't know
Saturday
either.
yet.
Okay, I think it's at 11 o'clock. Anyway, so the first segment of learning to solder is basically tools, what you need. And so I've done this before, and you can go to my other thing and
Find the
compare,
discrepancies.
yeah, find the discrepancies, compare the two. But I don't have a script. This is just based on, I don't know, 60 years. 60 years of building stuff. So what I'll introduce the fact that you don't need a lot of things. In this case, when I go out in the field, and if you go to my website, you can find some stuff where I've gone in the field and documented building at picnic tables, campgrounds, gazebos, that kind of stuff. And this is my field toolbox. It's an Altoids tin. And inside are basically the essentials that you need to build a kit anywhere. And I have some solder, nice brand new solder. I keep it in a plastic bag so it doesn't get filthy. One thing you don't want is filthy solder. You want clean circuit board, clean solder, clean parts if you can do that. An assortment of tools. 3 of my favorites. Okay, Steve just corrected me. 3 of my favorites. I love these particular kinds of square-nosed needle nose pliers. I've been using them for years. They do have a spring. Sometimes I take them out when I don't really want this spring open. Very nice, very good serrations, but I like the squareness of the tip on these things so that you can bend parts very easily. Just a nice pair of pliers. You need flush cutters. This is a pair of flush cutters. And while it's hard to see from our distance shot, if you look at them from the vertical, you'll see that they're angled, but the cut is absolutely vertical, absolutely flat. And then down inside, you have the chisel. So the chisels only go in one direction. So when you slice something off, it's a very vertical guillotine type cut. And you can get right up to the edge of the board, so you don't have razor stubble left on the bottom of your board from circuits. As opposed to a pair of dikes, which I don't even have a pair of dikes right here, and I generally just throw them.
Those are for electricians.
Those are for electricians, correct. And I come from a long family of electricians, so I know what they are and where to use them, and that is on big stuff. So yes, on circuit boards and electronic things, flush cutters are the way to go. Lots of people have different preferences of wire strippers. Some have the little thing that strips and automatically sizes it to everything. I'm old school. I'm sorry. I like these. I have lots of pairs of them.
You don't have that wire-shaped chip in your tooth like I do?
No. I could. But these the holes go from 20 to 30 gauge. So that covers just about everything when you're dealing with electronics. And when I'm doing stuff, I know exactly which hole to put it in. So it goes pretty nice. So those are 3 pair of pliers. And really, I think when it comes down to it, those are the only 3 pair of pliers you need for most circumstances. So we'll put those aside for a minute. A lot of people don't even know what this is. This is a lead forming tool. And the idea about a lead forming tool is the fact that, well, here, I'll open up a kit and I'll get a part. Here is a resistor. Now, in this kit, I think all the resistors in this kit are 4/10 of an inch spacing between the 2 pads. So you can go on this thing and you can see it starts at 4/10 of an inch. So I can put that resistor right in that thing, hold it down like this, bend the 2 leads down, straight down, and you've got a resistor with the proper bend on it. Very handy. And it just takes a lot of guesswork, and you get much nicer looking circuit boards finished when you have the parts bent at the right distance, and they're nice and square and smooth and even. So that's what these are. And there's big resistors on this side, regular resistors on this side, and various spacings. But most of the time, you're only using 0.3, 0.5, 0.4, that kind of stuff. So that's that. When you're doing circuit boards, you generally don't come up against large bolts. I mean, you're not putting in half-inch bolts or anything like that. So this is a freebie from a guy I used to do some consulting for. A regular screwdriver on one end, Phillips on the other, pocket clip. But the idea is this thing fits in here. It's 2 screwdrivers in one. It takes up no space at all in my toolbox. Sorry about that, Steve. Okay, he accused me of drifting off all the time, and it does. Okay. This is one of my favorite soldering irons. This is used to be, well, this is a Radio Shack version. I think they might be still alive again, but there are all kinds of versions of this exact same butane lighter soldering iron on Amazon. You can find it, and they're about, I think I bought this from Radio Shack at $19.95, and I think they're now about $20 to $30.
And they're refillable.
They're refillable. There's your butane fill. But whatever you do, if you're taking this portable, do not ever try to fly on a plane with it. I've lost like 3 of these things. Once because I used it and I got on the plane and it was in my carry-on, and they took it because it had butane in it. So then I used it and emptied the butane, ran it dry, and they took it again because it had butane in it, and now it could have some fumes in it. So they took the second one. Then the third time I traveled with it, I put it in a box in my checked luggage, and they still found it, and they still took it. You can't put it there either. So this is about the 5th one I've had. So, but the nice thing is it's got a little built-in kickstand right there. You ignite it with a sparker, and
kickstand in the shot.
Okay, kickstand in the shot. There you go. Okay, so it has its own little thing, and the idea is, this is the great portable iron out in the field. It won't give you a ton of heat, so you're not going to be able to repair PL239 connectors with it. But I mean, for a lot of things, it works pretty good. So another thing in here, I have a bulldog clip. Doesn't take up much room, and you can make them, a bigger one or a smaller one. And the idea about a bulldog clip is a lot of times if you're soldering something and you need some assistance, instead of getting a big ass vise, okay, here's a big ass vise. This is a pan of ice. Nice name. I got one. I don't know exactly where it is because I haven't used it in probably 10 years. It's just too dang big. So in a lot of cases,
I found it holds the light really well.
Yeah, it's holding a light over on the side of the table. But in a lot of cases, if you need to hold something, let me see if I can find something you need to hold. Okay, let's say I had this wire and I wanted to put the ends on. Okay, well I could just basically take that and put it in my bulldog clip. Hold on a second. I gotta get my 2 hands working in sync together. Okay, so again, if I stripped and tinned those, then I could be working one hand with the connector and the other hand with a soldering iron or what have you, and the wire's perfectly held. It's just it's a nice, cheap, portable tabletop vise. Okay, so that's one of those things.
And I always heard them as binder clips, not bulldog clips.
Well, bulldog is a brand name of those, but yeah, bulldog is the one that has the big long side. Yeah. But yeah, that's a binder clip. Okay. For holding circuit board, well, jeepers, I guess I've only got 3 in there right at the moment. This is the handy little invention that I had. Now, you can take your big ass vise again. Here comes Mr. Big Ass Vise. And you can hold that board in there. Let me crank this out. I'm cranking, I'm cranking, I'm cranking. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay. So I could hold that board in there, and I could put a part in there. And, okay, I got to solder the thing. I got to crank it out, turn it over, put it back in, then I can solder. Then I got to take it back out, put it back over, and put some more parts. Now, you can put 3 or 4 parts in there, and that will work. But the problem is, it's just plain crazy. So I don't use these anymore. And there are several different variations. There's some of them that can flip the board back and forth. But the other thing I don't like is this thing is, well, I'll tell you how far it is off the ground, because another thing I have is a little ruler, which it comes in handy a lot of times. That thing is 12, 13 and a half, 14, 14. That's 15 centimeters off the table. And so you gotta hold your arms like this when you're soldering. And the soldering iron, crazy, absolutely crazy. So I came up with this guy, these things. So if I'm gonna solder something, I will just put these on someplace on the board that I'm not putting anything on, like for instance the connectors, which are always the last thing that go on a circuit board when you're building it. And I'll get another one in the corner. I'll put this right in the middle here. Come on. So they're just little brass blocks with a little nylon screw. And so now I can put parts in here. I'm holding on to it. I put parts in here, and I can spread the leads to keep them coming out. And I turn it over, and now it's sitting right here, and I can take and solder. And you notice that my palms and my elbows are on the table, so I don't have to hold my whole arms up in the air, and you can solder for much longer time, and you're much steadier this way. If you happen to have a part that's close by, you need to move it, you just twist it and move it someplace else and set it down, and you can get right in there. You can swing the board around and get right in when you've got a whole bunch of parts leads sticking up, and you can just get that right angle by moving it around. Really nice. And I think just about everybody I've shown this to has given up on their big giant vices, big ass vices. Okay, here's another handy dandy little thing, especially when you get up in years. I've had glasses for, let's see, that's about 58 years now, I think, and I still can't see very good without them. But having a small, and you notice it's very thin, very small. It is lighted, but I think my battery has finally given up on it. I got to change the battery in it. But the idea is if you really need to inspect a part that you can't read, you got a magnifying glass. Possibly with a light in it, LED. A rubber band. Simple little thing. And my spring-loaded
Now they're spring loaded the other way.
Now they're spring-loaded the other way, so I can actually grab a part. Again, I will take a, I don't know what I would do. I'm trying to pick a part in here that makes sense, but might not make sense in this particular configuration. But I could be grabbing a part, and I'll just grab any part. It might not have to make sense. Okay, so here's a crystal. Okay, so I can grab a part, and now I've got the crystal. So again, I don't need a big ass vise to hold that. I don't need a component holder for it. I just use my regular pliers and a rubber band. The other thing that's handy, when you're doing surface mount, now a lot of hams don't do surface mount because they think it's very, very hard, and it's very simple. One of the things you need to do in surface mount is you need to hold the part down while you're soldering. So in the case of that, I have a kebab skewer from my kitchen. And again, I hold that like so. So now I've got a 3-point. I can put a part down, hold it, and it's held right in place, and I can just tack it on either end. No big complicated hole. I've seen very complicated rigs for holding down surface mount parts, and they don't work any better than a kebab and a rubber band and a pair of pliers. But I mean, I can move this thing anywhere I want. It just so much easier that I just can't believe how difficult people make certain things. So that is my portable toolbox. Oops, one last thing. Couldn't see it in there. A dental pick. Um, very handy when you're going in, and sometimes you have to hook something out, or you have to um, maybe work a hole when you're unsoldering something. Uh, Pretty handy to have a dental pick. These come in like a package of 6 for like, I don't know, $3.99 or $4.99 at Harbor Freight. Now, if you go to my website and go to the place where you actually bought the kit, the Learn to Solder kit, there's a tool document up there that shows my favorite tools and where I got them and how much they are. So you might want to check that out. But again, the actual portable toolbox, which is, I mean, I could build practically any kit with this little toolbox with all this stuff, and it fits in a large Altoids tin. So there's.
Got to eat a lot of mints to get the toolbox.
No, actually, I don't think they actually make this thing anymore. But you might be able to find it on eBay or something.
Kind of like I used to know the smokers that would smoke Marlboro, so they would get Marlboro points.
Yes, but see, but everything fits in a very small. Whoops, my solder's in there. Okay, it doesn't take much to build. Now, I must admit, there's a part that's missing. Okay, if I'm on my bench, I grab these from my various. I have, let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 different benches where I work on stuff. So I have 5 sets of tools, so I don't have to lug it back and forth. But sometimes I just, like tonight, I grabbed a whole bunch of boxes of stuff, so I made sure I had the right tools that I wanted to show off. But yeah, there's solder suckers. You know, if you make mistakes, you might need a solder sucker. And let's talk about irons. That's a good subject for kit building. So there's 2 irons there. We talked about my butane iron, which I really, really love that butane iron. We'll put the solder sucker aside. Here is an iron. And here's another one. Now this is the Hyper Top. I believe this came, oh yeah, right there, Walmart.com.
I thought it might have been one of the free Harbor Freight things.
No. This is a Walmart.
Store, you get it for $1.
No. I don't think I've seen any soldering irons for that, but this is a Walmart. This is the typical one you see at amateur hamfests and stuff, selling for like $3.99. And if you look, the handles are almost identical. The tips are identical. The heater elements identical, and they're both identically pieces of crap. Okay. If you see an iron and it's got screws right up here holding the tip in, and the tip is circular, you know, just like a spear point, run far away. Do not buy it, no matter what the price, because it isn't worth anything. The only thing this is really good for is maybe some, you know, elementary wood burning on some soft wood, or for melting plastic. I would not. These tips are very hard to tin. They don't keep their tinning very well, and you can see there is a replacement in the Walmart one. You actually get a whole new tip, which is cool, but it's a whole new piece of crap. So you know, you want to stay away from these. One that, now here's typically, well, here's another 2 that I like. Uh-oh, what was that? What was that? Oh, I don't know, my GoPro's talking to me. It says help.
Well, it started with H. I don't know what happened to the rest.
All right, well, forget about him. Okay, I was just experimenting with that. This is a 12-volt iron with a couple of battery clips for putting into your battery. This is the proper way that you have an iron. You have a cylindrical. Sometimes you have to heat these up before you get the tip off. But you have a real live cylindrical holder. The tips are available, and they pretty much standard. You'll see a nice tinned surface on them already. When I go to hamfests and stuff and I'm demonstrating soldering, I'll be at my table, and if I don't have 110 volts, I'm using one of these. And this is my preferred one right here, this blue one. This is a 30-watt iron. It's got an LED to tell you it's on. Same thing. Cylindrical. Still can't take it off, but again, if I cycled it, I'd be able to pull it off. But nice iron. I think, you know, these are only like $15, $16, where this might be $3.99, but a piece of crap. These are nice irons.
Have you seen or used the they're USB powered ones now?
I have. They're only 8 watts.
Yeah.
Very, very marginal. I mean, you can solder small components on small pads with small traces, but the minute you get into anything that's got any size to it, it really, I've actually had billathons where people use them because I gave them to them. You know, I bought a whole bunch of them. I had a billathon in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it was like, I don't know, we had 20 people, and I bet you 16 people, 16 builders didn't bring any tools at all. Yeah. I didn't know I had to bring any tools. I was just going to learn how. Well, am I supposed to? So anyway, I rushed out into the flea market, and I find the guy who had those USB irons, because we did have laptops and USB things for chargers. And I bought his entire inventory. I think he gave me a deal on it, but yeah, they're okay in a pinch. But I take my butane any day of the week, and I take one of these battery operated ones even quicker. Yep. Now, let's go to the good iron. If you really think that you're going to enjoy building kits and soldering, then it's like anything else. You know, you're not going to sit down and learn how to paint and use, you know, a 25-cent paintbrush, because all the hairs are going to come out. It's going to, you know, fall apart before you get your picture done. So, you know, when you think you're going to do something, you got to have some essential tools that you spend a little bit of money on. Now, you don't have to spend a lot, but a soldering station is ideal. Now, this is a soldering station. Now, I'm going to turn it around so you can see in the camera.
No, it's you're
okay.
It should be upside right, facing you.
Okay. Oh. All right. I'm trying to get the orientation of the vertical camera. This is a digital screen, so I can set the temperature. So if I go and do a set, I can just dial up whatever temperature I want. That's handy. And then I go to read, and it'll tell you what the exact temperature is of the iron. Again, no screws holding the thing on. You can get replacement tips. In fact, I have, you know, every replacement tip, every option, thick, thin, pointy, blunt. I have them all, depending upon which kind of a job I'm going to do, and I can just wheel it off, put another one on, and go.
Hey, Rex, what happened to your sponge?
Oh, thank you for asking, Steve. Back in the old days, you know, when we didn't really get sponge, I mean, you had a sponge on an iron on a station, but it'd get pretty whacked up pretty fast. So, you know, you never could find a sponge, you know, and, you know, whether or not it was sponge worthy, small inside joke. So most people used a paper towel or a piece of cloth that was wetted, like a face cloth or something. But the minute you take a hot iron and you swipe into a wet, ow, guess what?
Say, don't touch your iron.
Okay, I know that iron's hot. That's about 709 degrees. Okay. So yeah, the minute you put that hot iron to a piece of skin or wet paper towel or anything, it's gonna turn that water to steam, and that takes an awful lot of heat. And that heat comes off the tip and drops the temperature drastically. And so you're constantly trying to build up temperature again to get back to where you want. So you want it to be stable. So the best thing to use is what they call brass shavings. And this is a tuna fish can that's got this thing shoved in it. And if you put that in there and you just do a little twisty action, that thing comes out. I don't know if you can see that, but it is shiny as all get out. There's no dirt on that at all. And once you get a little bit of dirt accumulated from rosin or dirty parts or something, you put it back in there, twist a little bit, and you got another beautiful thing. But it doesn't drop the temperature. So brass shavings, that's what you clean the tip with. No sponges, no wet paper towels or anything like that. Hey, you got any more suggestions?
Don't touch the iron.
Yeah, don't touch the iron. I have a, this is a sorry about that. Okay. Now we're in the center again. This is the soldering tip cleaner. and I sell them sealed up in the thing with a plastic lid on it, so you can put it back. Because once you get a lot of solder in there, it gets kind of messy. Um, so that's on my website. But yeah, that's pretty handy. Okay, so we got a soldering iron, a good iron, a station. I just checked recently, and on my website, the tool section, it shows a couple of versions. This particular brand I really do like. It's called Zytronic. Um, I can It's spelled XYTRONIC, XY-tronic or Zytronic or whatever. This iron right here is probably 30 years old. It still works for me. I think I spent maybe $49 for it 30 years ago. And now this same version, a little bit spruced up and whatnot, you'd probably spend $59, $69 for it. But you're going to get, I'm not going to say a lifetime, but for me, so far, it's been a lifetime of good soldering with it. I have probably 3 of these and another couple of manual ones that don't have the digital readout, but just have a meter, an analog meter that tells you what the temperature is. I have a couple of those. Over the years, I've had a shop where I've had 3 or 4 or 5 people working for me, and or I go to billathons and I have to have. Sometimes I carry 20 irons, 20 stations with me. Some are cheap, some are good, and I let people rotate and try them out.
You don't like mine where you get it to the temperature and it blinks at you.
Oh, I hate that. I hate those ones with blinking LEDs. That drives me crazy. What the hell's that thing doing? Okay, Steve, you got any more suggestions? Oh, meters. If you're building kits and you don't know your color code and you can't read a resistor to save your soul because your eyes aren't any good, your glasses aren't any good, you don't remember the color code.
Ever try to read a capacitor these days?
Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing, reading capacitors. But then again, this one, does this have a capacitor?
I don't know if that one does.
I do not see it. I do not see a capacitor scale list, but some of the newer things have capacitor scales. But you're going to need a digital multimeter because it sometimes it's very handy to be able to read a resistor that's just having trouble with continuity, reading voltages. Pretty handy. You don't have to have one that costs $300. You don't have to have one that costs $30. Watch out, that's still hot.
Yep.
You only have to have one with basic functions, and you can get them. I mean, I used to.
And that one auto ranges.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that.
That's
the 220.
Kind of handy for the lazy man.
Yep.
if you know, but I mean, I used to go to Harbor Freight. Would send coupons were everywhere, and when they had the coupon for a free meter, okay, I would have 15 of those coupons in my pocket, and I'd go to 2 different Harbor Freights a day.
I have 2 of those meters. They both had bad probes.
Well, they're when you get them for free, you're not looking for high quality. But the thing is, eventually they do work, and I've given more of those things away, and I have one, in every one of my cars. But they cost practically nothing.
Yeah.
But most meters now, you can buy a decent digital multimeter for under $20. And in fact, I remember one time I bought a soldering station for like $59, and they gave me a free meter that was probably a $30, $40 meter. That was their special that month. So, okay, I got 2 things for the price of one. Very handy.
Yeah, I mean, and that cheap Harbor Freight measures the same as this does. I haven't noticed any different.
Yeah, a 1K resistor measures 1K, whether the meter is $3 or $30. So let's see. Is there anything else in my box? Oh, we forgot my favorite tool. My favorite tool, the Stanley guillotine. That's a utility blade, utility knife blade, guillotine cutter. Cuts very, very square, and it's great for ribbon cable. It's great for deconstructing plastic things like connectors and stuff. But of course, if you sneak up to it that way and accidentally come too fast, you'll put that very sharp tip right through your finger, which I've done before, and it bled like a stuck pig. Or you could chop your finger off real easy. And, I'm just trying to see if I had anything I could demonstrate that fact on.
Oh, one of the bad soldering iron cords. No.
Yeah, bad sounding iron cord. I don't happen to have a piece of ribbon cable here. But I mean, it takes nothing to cut through practically anything. But just a small story. I found this in the discontinued aisle at my local hardware store, and it was at the time I think it was $29, but it was half price. So $15, I'll jump right on that every day. So I had it, and it was out of my Quonset hut, and for some strange reason, I accidentally lost it in my Quonset hut, and I didn't have it for like 2 years. And I was really moaning the loss of this Stanley thing. And what happens? One day I was into Lowe's, and I see a Husky, same guillotine type cutter, different style, different lock on it, but same action. I said, boy, I jumped all over that. And of course, right after I bought this, I found these. So now I got two pairs. But a man and his tools, you can't have too many. So I was at Tractor Supply, and I found these. These were much cheaper. Same thing, different lock, pretty nice. So they were in the closeout bin, and they had a really good price on them. So I bought every single pair they had. I think about 20 of them, just in case I lose more. Okay.
Right?
Now I mentioned this a while because everybody has discontinued these things because you can just as easily cut your entire finger off than cut what you're intending to cut. So sure enough, Amazon. And this thing on Amazon, I think, was only $20. And guess what? It is a carbon copy of that very first Stanley. And so obviously it's made by the same company. I mean, the same mechanism, same screws in the same location, same handle, only it doesn't say Stanley on it. It says Sheffield. But those are currently available, and if you get one, be very, very careful because you can cut your entire digit off with that real easy, but you can also cut some pretty neat shit with it. Sorry about that. You can really deconstruct. I mean, I take like DB9 or DB15 25 connectors that are plastic, the whole body, and everything's all fused. Just get right in there with that vertical guillotine, and I slice them right open and get the stuff out that I need inside. Very, very nice tool. So those are solder sucker again. The trick is, don't make the mistake the first time. You don't need a sucker. I hardly ever use these things, but sometimes I've had to use them. Once in a very rare case, I had to use a solder sucker. Is that all the tools we got? I do keep a nice bristle paintbrush. I mean, it's not a world's classiest, but a lot of times I need that to clear off clean off a board. Get little bits of solder off of it and stuff like that. So I use it as a brush. That's kind of handy. Do keep your solder in a plastic bag, so it doesn't get dusty, dirty, grimy, and everything else. Because again, you want to clean solder on a clean pad on a clean board with a clean iron. Then you get a clean job.
Good.
Is that what we got for tools?
I think so. Do you want the opto?
Oh, opto visors. I didn't bring my opto visors. I mean, you can buy the big head visors that go for. Oh, here we go. We got okay. What?
Has replaceable lenses.
Oh, okay. Oh, these are classic.
LED
the problem is it's hard to wear these over top another pair of glasses. Yeah. And if I take my other pair of glasses off, I can't see diddly squat. So I can't use those. But, there are the visors that you put on, and you can put your glasses on underneath them. And, they're typical Hamfest. They're $8 or $10.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. But wait, there's more. So, you can get them really, really cheap. I have a pair, and you'll go onto my tool section. I'll show you my pair on my tool section that I bought 30 years ago, and they're still kicking. They're still good. I broke them several times. I got circuit board holding the joint together and, whatnot. So that's kind of cool. But another thing I noticed is when my dentist was working on my mouth a while back, he was wearing these guys. And they go on a standard pair of glasses, if I can get this thing on without, I can't see. With my glasses on, I can't see, but there are the smallest pair of opto visors, and you can flip this. You can flip the magnifier up, or you can bring it down. Whoops, you can bring it down, and you can get that magic spot, and their light is all get out, and you can get
Adjustable too.
Adjustable. You can get the right. So I think those are. I think I bought them at a dental supply company online. I think I paid maybe $30 for those, but those are very handy, especially if you don't have good eyes. I highly recommend. I change my glasses every 2 years, my prescription, because it's my profession. I need to see electronic stuff, and if I can't see it, it's very difficult to put stuff together. So, if you're gonna get into this and your eyes are crap, then you want to make sure that your glasses are decent, and especially your lighting. Again, you can't solder, you can't read parts in shadows. You got to be able. The brighter, whiter the light on a part, the easier it is to see what the part is and where it goes. So, I think that's pretty much it for the tool department. I think that's a wrap up of the tool department. Again, go to my website, www.qrpme.com. Go to the either of the Learn to Solder Billathons, which are under the Billathon tab, and you'll see a document there about tools, kit building tools. And I think that's it covers all the stuff I have here, plus where in the heck I got it, how much I paid for it. But those, I have no connection to any of these companies. It's just after so many years of working with electronics, I've developed a taste for tools, and this is what I like. So
excellent.
That's it. So hopefully we'll see you at a Billathon soon.